I hired a fake girlfriend. Her name was Stella Grant, and she was better at it than the real thing. The agency said it would help my public image, build the brand, get me followers. I bought it. In this town, it's hard to tell what's real anyway. What I didn't count on was her being so good at it that I started to believe it myself. In front of the cameras, she'd lean her head on my shoulder, the warmth seeping through the fabric of my shirt. My heart would pound like a drum solo, but I'd just have to hold my smile. But then one day, she said a single, quiet sentence for the whole world to hear. And my world, with a deafening crack, shattered. "Mr. Vance, here are the details of the contract. Please take a look." Stella Grant slid the file across the table. Her fingers were long and pale, her nails bare. I glanced over the pages, a laundry list of rules and regulations. Things like we had to hold hands in public, but for no more than 10 seconds at a time. Things like she had to bring homemade snacks when visiting me on set to show how devoted she was. A smirk pulled at my lips. "Just make it look convincing. Don't blow our cover." She nodded, her eyes as still as a lake at dawn. "I understand, as long as the payment's clear." I scoffed internally. What was with the high and mighty act? She was just another person doing a job for cash. But when she looked up, her eyelashes fluttered. My throat suddenly felt tight. "The first season of the reality show starts filming next week. You should get ready," I said, standing up and deliberately avoiding her gaze. "Don't embarrass me." Her voice drifted over from behind me. "I won't, Mr. Vance." The way she said Mr. Vance made the back of my neck tingle. As I walked out, I cursed myself. "Leo, don't be an idiot." This was a transaction, all spelled out in black and white. But the curve of her cheek as she'd leaned down to sign the papers, it was just a little too gentle. I shook my head and got into the car. My agent, Marty, was already running his mouth. "This is it. The brand is locked in, devoted, low-key, romantic. The fans are going to eat this up." I just grunted, staring out the window. The city lights blurred past, just like the flicker I thought I'd seen in her eyes. "It's fake," I told myself 3 times. "It's all an act." The first day of filming was chaos. When the director yelled, "Action," Stella instinctively leaned a little closer to me. I caught the scent of her hair, faint, clean, not perfume. "Nervous?" I whispered, my hand hovering just behind the small of her back. She shook her head, her lips curving into a perfectly measured smile. "Not when you're here." She had her lines down cold, but when my fingers brushed against the fabric of her dress, I felt her flinch ever so slightly. The camera zoomed in as the host started the interview. "So how did you two meet?" I stuck to the script. A mutual friend introduced us. It was love at first sight. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. But Stella picked it up seamlessly. And he has the most amazing smile." She turned to look at me, her eyes sparkling. I froze for a second before I remembered my cue. "And you make even better coffee." Bullshit. I never had coffee she'd made. The script said she was a great cook, so I just riffed on it. But then she gave my hand a light squeeze. "Liar. You told me it was too bitter." I was speechless. Was this woman going off script? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the director give us a thumbs up, signaling that the improv was working. I had to force a laugh. "Yeah, well, it's an acquired taste." During a break, I pulled her aside. "What was that? You're adding lines." She just blinked. "I was adding authenticity." "Aren't you satisfied, Mr. Vance?" I glared at her, but she just reached up and straightened my tie. Her fingers grazed my neck, sending a shiver down my spine. "The cameras are still rolling," she whispered, her tone all innocence. I gritted my teeth and let her finish. This whole act was starting to feel like a little too much. The show aired, and of course, it was a massive hit. We were the top 3 trending topics on Twitter. Hashtag Lo and Stella are too sweet. Hashtag the real life rom-com. Hashtag Stella Grant is girlfriend goals. Marty was practically giddy. We got it. We got it. Your A-list status is locked in." I tossed my phone onto the sofa. "It's fake. What's there to celebrate?" Marty just clucked his tongue. "You could always make it real. She seems like a nice girl." I didn't answer. All I could think about was yesterday's taping, when she fed me a piece of fruit. Her fingertips had brushed my lips. They were impossibly soft, and I'd actually eaten it. I'd even said it was sweet. What the hell was wrong with me? The doorbell rang. "I want to get it." Stella was standing there, holding a thermal container. "Visiting you on set. Clause 12 of the contract." I let her in, and she went straight to the counter to open the container. Slow-cooked beef stew. I let it simmer for 3 hours. The aroma filled the room, and my stomach rumbled betrayingly. You can actually cook. I was genuinely surprised. She handed me a bowl. It's a job. You have to be professional. The stew was incredible. I was halfway through the bowl when I looked up at her. Go easier on the salt next time. She raised an eyebrow. Then don't eat it. But her hand reached out, naturally taking the bowl and refilling it for me. As I watched her, something inside me just crumbled. Stella, did you used to treat all your clients this way? The words were out before I could stop them. She froze. The spoon clinked against the side of the bowl. Mr. Vance, this is a business arrangement. She put the bowl down, her smile as perfect and manufactured as a doll's. Personal attacks aren't part of the deal. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. She stood up to leave, her back ramrod straight. I stared at the bowl of stew, my appetite gone. Leo, you're a real bastard. Marty told me the producers wanted to add a scene with more intimacy. Just a hug, a quick shot. Nothing crazy. I frowned. That's not in the contract. It is now. The shippers are going wild, Marty said with a wink. You two have millions of fans rooting for you. You've got to give the people what they want. I brought it up with Stella. She was reading a script and didn't even look up. Fine, as long as you increase the payment. A flare of anger shot through me. Is money all you think about? She finally looked at me, her gaze cool. What else is there to think about, Mr. Vance? I was silenced. Yeah, what else? Did I really expect her to actually like me? The day of the shoot, the director set us up on a rooftop overlooking the city. The lighting was soft, the music sentimental. According to the script, I was supposed to hug her from behind. But as I got closer, as I breathed in that scent of hers, my hand started to shake. Nervous? She whispered, a hint of a smile in her voice. I scoffed. Who's nervous? I wrapped my arms around her. Her waist was shockingly slender. She leaned back against my chest, her hair brushing against my chin. It tickled, a feeling that went straight to my heart. Leo Vance, she said suddenly, using my full name. What? Your heart is beating really fast. I stiffened. How could she say everything that came into her head? The cameras were on us. I had to play along. That's because you're in my arms. So cheesy I wanted to gag. But she just let out a low chuckle. Your acting is improving. The second the director yelled, cut, I dropped my arms. But she grabbed my sleeve. Mr. Vance, your ears are red. I touched my ear. It was burning. It's hot up here, I said, my face a stony mask. She just said, oh, and slowly walked away. I stood there for a long time, letting the cold wind blow over me. I couldn't keep this act up for much longer. Halfway through the season, there was a game segment, the kind where you get blindfolded and have to find someone. They blindfolded me and spun me around in the darkness. The director said if I could find Stella, I'd win. Easy, I thought. She always has that faint, clean scent. But I fumbled around, touching several people, and none of them were her, until someone gently took my wrist. The fingers were cool, the touch familiar. Found you, I said without thinking. I pulled off the blindfold. It was her. Her eyes were curved into crescents. How did you know it was me? I hesitated. I couldn't exactly say I'd memorized the feel of her hand. Just a guess. The host started teasing us, asking me to describe what her hand felt like. I made something up. It's slender. But Stella jumped in. He always says my hands are cold, so he's always warming them up for me. Esther the hair. When had that ever happened? The audience screamed, cooing about how sweet it was. I looked at her, and she gave me a subtle wink. After we got off stage, I cornered her. Were you improvising again? She pulled her hand away. Mr. Vance, the fans live for these little details. So, when did we ever hold hands to warm them up? We haven't yet, but we will, she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. It's called foreshadowing. I had a laugh. You're really dedicated to the craft. She turned to leave, and I instinctively grabbed her hand. It really was cold, like a piece of ice. What are you doing? She turned back, glaring. I held on tighter. Warming your hand. Isn't that what you said I do? Her expression froze, and a blush crept up from her neck. I wanted to smile, so she could get flustered after all. Leo, you're getting way too into character, she said, pulling her hand free, her voice suddenly brittle. I looked at my empty palm, a hollow feeling spreading through my chest. Yeah, Maybe I really was. 6. Trouble arrived without warning. Some online trolls dug into Stella's past, revealing she wasn't some random civilian I'd swept off her feet. She was a struggling, no-name actress who took gigs like this for a living. The internet exploded. They called her a liar, a fraud, and they called me a blind fool for falling for it. Marty was pacing frantically. We have to release a statement. Distance yourself from her immediately. I stared at the screen, the hateful comments like 1,000 tiny cuts. Stella sat across from me, quietly peeling an apple. "You're not worried?" I asked. She finished peeling the apple and cut it into slices. "Would it help if I was? Are you really an actress?" She speared a slice with a fork and offered it to me. Couldn't make it, so I switched careers. I didn't take it. Why did you hide it? The contract didn't require a full resume, she said, putting the fork down. Are you terminating our agreement, Mr. Vance? I looked at her calm face and suddenly felt furious. Is the contract the only thing you care about? What else? She met my gaze, her dark eyes pinning me. Should I be concerned about how this affects you? She had me there. And yes, it was affecting me. Fans were leaving in droves. Sponsors were calling, demanding answers. But looking at her, what angered me more was that she didn't seem to care at all. I'll handle it, I said, grabbing my phone to call my PR team. But she placed her hand over mine. Don't bother. I'll fix this myself. How are you going to fix it? I'll release a statement, admit everything, and quit the show. Her tone was as casual as if she were talking about the weather. I shot to my feet. No. She looked stunned. Why not? I couldn't explain why. I just didn't want her to disappear like that. The contract isn't over yet, I said, using the lamest excuse I could think of. She smiled, but it was laced with mockery. Mr. Vance, the show's over. The word stung. Stella, what am I to you? My client, she answered instantly. The one who pays me. I stared at her, searching for any crack in her composure. There was nothing, not a single fissure. I stormed out, slamming the door behind me. 7. I didn't let her quit. I called in every favor I had, buried the story, and got the trending topic scrubbed. I released a statement saying I'd known about her past from the beginning and didn't care. The fans called me a lovesick fool, which, surprisingly, won some of them back. Marty said I was insane. I thought so, too. Stella kept visiting the set every day, bringing different food each time. It was as if nothing had happened. Until one night, I was filming a late scene, and she was waiting for me. I kept messing up my lines, my focus completely shot. When the director finally called a break, I saw her asleep in a chair off to the side. The set lights cast a soft glow on her face, her eyelashes making long shadows on her cheeks. She looked so peaceful. I took off my jacket and draped it over her. She didn't stir. My assistant whispered, Ms. Grant's been waiting for hours. A warmth spread through my chest, a feeling I couldn't name. She woke up just as I finished my last take. All done, she mumbled, rubbing her eyes. Yeah, let's go. I drove her home. The car was silent. When we pulled up to her apartment building, she unbuckled her seatbelt. Lao. Thank you. I paused. For what? The trending topics. The whole mess, she said, looking down. You didn't have to do that. I snorted. Can't have you running out on the job. Who would I do my scenes with? She looked up at me, and in the darkness, her eyes seemed to shine. Is it just a scene to you? My heart skipped a beat. What else would it be? She gave a small, sad smile, then got out of the car. I watched her walk away, then impulsively rolled down the window. Stella. She turned. Don't be late for filming tomorrow. I wanted to kick myself. What kind of stupid thing was that to say? She just waved and disappeared into the building. I sat in the car for a long time, not leaving until a light came on in one of the windows above. Leo Vance, you're completely screwed. 8. The producers set up a truth or dare segment. No script. Pure improv. I felt a knot of panic in my stomach, but Stella looked as calm as ever. The host started with me. Leo, what's one thing you love about Stella? I gave my prepared answer. She's kind, thoughtful, and she takes great care of me. Standard. Safe. Then it was Stella's turn. Same question. She looked right at me, her eyes crinkling at the corners. He's handsome, and he's rich. The audience roared with laughter. They loved the honesty. I couldn't even crack a smile. This woman, she never let me forget that this was a transaction. The next question was a landmine. Have you two thought about marriage? I froze. How was I supposed to answer that? Saying yes was a blatant lie. Saying no would break the fantasy. But Stella smoothly cut in. That depends on his performance. He's still on probation. The crowd ate it up. I was relieved, but also a little disappointed. During the game portion, the loser had to take a penalty. I lost. The penalty was to call the first person in my contacts and say, "I love you." I pulled out my phone. The first name was Marty. As I was about to dial, Stella reached out and stopped me. "Let's pick someone else. You'll give Marty a heart attack." The host jumped on it. "Then call Stella." The whole studio applauded. I looked at her. She didn't object. I dialed her number. Her phone rang. "Go on, Leo," the host urged, holding the microphone out to me. I looked into her eyes, and my own throat went dry. "Stella, yes. The words were stuck. Why did those three little words feel so heavy? She waited, her expression unreadable. I took a deep breath. "I love you." My ears were on fire. The audience screamed. But she just smiled. "I know." Three breezy, dismissive words. After the show, I grabbed her arm. "Just now. You were great." She cut me off. The audience reaction was perfect. I let go of her, a dull ache spreading in my chest. "Yeah, a great performance." 9. Marty said the final taping was critical. It was the big confession of love episode. "Get her a nice gift. Be sincere. We want this thing to trend for a week." I nodded, my mind a total mess. I went to a jewelry store to buy a ring. The saleswoman showed me the latest design. I stared at the glittering diamond, imagining it on Stella's finger. Would she like it? Or would she just calculate its cash value? When I got home, I found her waiting outside my door. "Why didn't you go in?" I asked. Her expression was serious. "Leo, we need to talk." My stomach dropped. Inside, she got straight to the point. "For the final episode, I want to change the script." "Change what?" "I want to add a scene where we reveal the truth." Her voice was steady. Viewers love a good plot twist. I stared at her. "What are you talking about?" "We tell everyone it was a paid arrangement," she said, looking right at me. "It'll generate way more buzz." I shot to my feet. "Are you insane?" "It's the perfect ending," she said, as coolly as if she were closing a business deal. "You walk away with your devoted image intact. I get my final payment. It's a win-win." I stared at her, searching her eyes for any hint of regret. There was none, just clear, unwavering focus. "Stella, after all these months, you haven't felt anything for me. Not one thing." I regretted the question the moment it left my lips. So pathetic. She smiled a sad, pitying kind of smile. "Mr. Vance, getting too into character is a professional hazard." I collapsed back onto the sofa. "Yeah, and I had a terminal case. What if I told you I wasn't acting?" I looked up at her, putting it all on the line. She faltered for a second, then shook her head. "Don't be ridiculous. I'm serious." I took her hand, not letting her pull away this time. "Stella, I'm falling for you." Saying it out loud was terrifying and liberating. She looked at me, her expression a swirl of emotions I couldn't decipher. "Leo, don't do this." She pulled her hand free. "Our contract is almost up." "To hell with the contract. I'm asking you how you feel." She was silent for a long time, so long I thought the world had stopped spinning. "I'm just someone you hire to do a job." She stood up and walked to the door. "I'll see you at the taping tomorrow, Mr. Vance." The door clicked shut. I picked up a glass and hurled it against the wall. It shattered just like my heart. 10. I didn't sleep at all before the final taping. I just replayed her words, replayed the last few months. It started as a contract, a simple transaction, and it had turned into this. A ridiculous, beautiful, painful dream. In the makeup room, Stella was her usual quiet self. I watched her in the mirror. She was meticulously applying mascara, not once glancing my way. "Stella, what would you do if I terminated the contract right now?" Her hand paused for a fraction of a second. "You'd still have to pay the termination fee." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "All you care about is the money." She put down a mascara wand and turned to face me. "What else should I care about?" Your sudden, inconvenient sincerity. Her words were like knives. "You're ruthless." "Takes one to know one," she said, standing up. "It's time. Let's go." The stage was a romantic fantasy. Flowers, balloons. It looked like a wedding. The audience was packed, their faces full of expectation. The host gave a warm introduction, and then it was time for our confessions. The script said I should give her the ring and recite some heartfelt lines. But as I looked at Stella, I suddenly wanted to burn the script. Stella, I began, my voice hoarse. She looked at me, her eyes pleading for me to stick to the plan. I took a deep breath. These past few months, the audience was silent. Every camera was on us. Suddenly, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. Leo, don't, she whispered, so low only I could hear. I froze, my hands hovering in midair. She pulled away and turned to the cameras, a brilliant smile on her face. There's actually something I've been wanting to tell everyone. My heart stopped. I remembered her idea to change the script. Was she going to blow it all up? Right here, right now? The studio was dead quiet, waiting. I stared at the side of her face, wishing I could freeze time in this single moment. At least before the truth came out, I could pretend she felt something, even a little. She smiled at the camera. Leo and I. She paused. I could practically hear my own frantic heartbeat. Or actually, I squeezed my eyes shut. It's over. Officially dating. My eyes flew open. What did she just say? The audience was silent for a beat, and then the studio erupted in deafening cheers. The host's jaw was on the floor. This clearly wasn't in his notes. Stella turned back to me, and there was something in her eyes I had never seen before. She reached out and took my hand. Leo Vance, she said, her voice carrying through the microphone to every corner of the room. Will you continue to be my boyfriend? I just stood there, stunned. What new script was this? Her finger traced a small, secret line in my palm, and in that instant I understood. She was taking a gamble. She was betting that I would play along, that I would finish this final, insane scene with her. I looked at her for a long, long time. The cheering slowly died down. Everyone was waiting for my answer. I took the microphone from the host. My hand was shaking. No, I said. A total, profound silence fell over the studio. Stella's smile froze on her face. I watched the light in her eyes flicker and die. I won't continue to play this role with you, I said, my voice ringing with clarity. Because I'm done with it. I'm done pretending to like you. I'm done putting on an act for the cameras. With every sentence, the color drained from her face. By the end, she looked like she could barely stand. The director was making frantic gestures off stage. I ignored him. Leo, she started, her voice breaking. I cut her off. But I took a deep, shaky breath. If it were real, if this were about actually being with you, then yes. I dropped the mic, grabbed her hand, and walked off the stage. The place exploded into chaos behind us. Security guards tried to stop us, but I just pushed past them. I didn't stop until I had pulled her into an empty dressing room and shut the door. She leaned against it, her chest heaving. Are you insane? She asked. Yes, I nodded. You drove me insane. She laughed, but a tear rolled down her cheek. Leo Vance, you are such a bastard. Takes one to know one. I reached out and wiped the tear away. Were you scared? She glared at me. What do you think? Good, I said, gently pinching her cheek. That's what you get for scaring me first. She was quiet for a moment. Why? She asked. Why what? Why me? She said, looking up, her eyes still red. You could have just kept up the act. It would have been better for your career. I looked at her. This woman who made me feel more than I ever thought I could. Because, I said, leaning in so close I could see the tiny teardrops clinging to her eyelashes. I can't tell the difference anymore. I can't tell what's fake and what's real. So I decided I'd rather it all be real. She didn't speak. She just stared at me. After a long time, she let out a soft sigh. Leo, you're going to regret this. Maybe, I admitted, but I'd regret not doing it even more. We could hear shouting outside the door. Marty was yelling my name. Reporters were banging on the door. Neither of us moved. Stella Grant, I said, using her full name. Yes. The contract is over. I know. Want to renew? I asked. This time, no payment. She stared at me. Then a slow smile spread across her face. Then what's the price? You, I said. The real you. She reached up, wrapping her arms around my neck. Her warm breath ghosted against my ear. Deal, she said. Later. Later, of course, was a complete mess. Marty threatened to quit. The studio threatened to blacklist me. My fans split into two camps. The ones who sent blessings and the ones who sent hate mail. I ignored it all. Stella moved into my place. The first morning, I woke up and saw her in the kitchen. She was wearing my t-shirt and nothing else. Making fried eggs. I leaned against the doorframe, just watching her. She turned and scowled. "What are you looking at?" "You," I said. "Making sure you don't run away." She rolled her eyes. "Can't. The penalty for breaking this contract is too high." I walked over and wrapped my arms around her from behind. She tensed for a moment, then relaxed into my embrace. "Lau, do you really like me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The eggs sizzled in the pan. I leaned down and kissed the top of her head. "What do you think?" "I need to hear you say it," she said stubbornly. I was quiet for a moment. "It was fake at first," I said. "And then somewhere along the way, it became real. Maybe it was when I held you on the rooftop. Maybe it was when you fed me that piece of fruit. Maybe it was even earlier." She didn't say anything. She just slid the fried eggs onto a plate. "They're burnt," she said. "I don't care," I said. I turned her around to face me. "Stella, yes, I love you." This time there was no act. No cameras. No audience. Just the two of us. And the way her eyes started to glisten. "I know," she said. Then she shoved a piece of egg into my mouth. It was way too salty, but I ate every last bite. 3 months later, the storm was finally starting to pass. I paid a hefty fee to terminate my contract with the studio. Marty ended up staying. Said he couldn't stand to watch me self-destruct on my own. Stella landed a role in a small indie web series. The second female lead. She said she liked it that way. No need to pretend to be someone else. That night, we were on the couch watching TV. Her show came on. I watched her on the screen and felt a strange sense of disconnect. "What's wrong?" she asked me. "Nothing," I said. "I just think the real you is much more beautiful." She smiled, leaning her head on my shoulder. "Lau, if you could do it all over again, would you still have hired me?" I thought about it. "No." She sat up straight, glaring at me. "I would have just asked you out," I said. She settled back against me, her voice muffled. "Good answer." On the TV, her character was saying a line to the male lead. "It's all an act. Don't take it seriously." I turned off the TV. "Hey, why'd you do that?" she asked. "I don't like hearing you say things like that," I said, even if it was to someone else. She looked at me, then leaned in and kissed me. A light, soft kiss. "How about now?" she asked. "That felt real," I said. "Are you sure? Positive?" She smiled, her eyes curving into crescents. Exactly like the first time she'd done it for the cameras. But this time I knew. It was real. All of it. 1 year later, we got married. A small ceremony, just a few friends. Marty was my best man and cried harder than anyone. Stella wore a simple white dress, no makeup. She said she wanted it to be real. When we exchanged rings, my hands were shaking uncontrollably. She whispered, "Nervous, Mr. Vance?" I shot her a look. "Who's nervous?" "Then why are your hands shaking?" "It's cold." She smiled and took my hand in hers. A warmth spread from her palm into mine. It was nothing like the first time we held hands for the camera. This time, I wasn't counting the seconds. The officiant asked, "Leo, do you take this woman?" I looked into her eyes. "I do." No hesitation. Then the officiant asked Stella. She looked at me for a long, long time. So long that Marty started to cough pointedly. "I do," she said. Her voice was quiet, but firm. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. After the ceremony, we took pictures in the backyard. The sun was setting, casting a golden light on her hair. I reached out and tucked a stray strand behind her ear. She looked up at me. "Leo, thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up on me that day on the stage." I shook my head. "I should be thanking you," I said. "Thank you for showing me that real is so much better than fake." She smiled and rested her head on my shoulder, just like she did the first time for the cameras. But this time, there was no director to yell cut. No script, no 10-second limit, just us, and a real life that no longer needed a performance. After the photos, we sat on a bench. Her hands were still cold. I took them in mine and tucked them into my coat pocket. "Leo, did I ever tell you," she said, turning to look at me, her eyes shining, "that the first time I met you, I knew you were different?" I raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" "Unbelievably handsome," she said. I grinned. "Was it love at first sight?" "Nope." She shook her head. "Back then, I just thought you were an arrogant jerk." So when did it start? I asked. She thought for a moment. Maybe that time on the rooftop. When you hugged me, your heart was pounding. And I thought to myself, wow, this guy is a really good actor. I squeezed her hand. That wasn't acting, I said. That was real. She froze. Really? Really? I said. More real than anything. She smiled, burying her face in my shoulder. After a moment, I felt a dampness spread through my shirt. Are you crying? I asked. No, she mumbled. I gently lifted her face. She was definitely crying. What are you crying for? I asked. I'm happy, she said. I wiped away her tears. Don't cry, I said. You'll ruin your makeup. I'm not wearing any, she replied. Well, don't cry anyway, I said. It makes my heart ache. She looked at me, then broke into a smile. Leo Vance, you've gotten really good with the sweet talk. I've been practicing, I said. With who? With you, I said. Every night, in front of the mirror. She burst out laughing, tears still clinging to her eyelashes. The sunset stretched our shadows long across the grass. They overlapped until you couldn't tell one from the other. Just like our story, it started out as a lie and continued as the truth. Maybe that was the best ending of all. When we got home that night, she was so tired she collapsed onto the couch. I went to the kitchen to make some pasta. She followed me in and wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. Leo, are we always going to be like this? She asked, her voice thick with sleep. I stirred the pasta in the pot. No, I said. Her body went rigid against my back. We're going to fight, I said. We're going to have misunderstandings. There will be days when we can't stand each other. But I turned off the stove and turned to face her. I will always love you. Really, really. She looked at me for a long time. Then she leaned in and kissed the corner of my mouth. Okay, she said. I'll trust you on that. The pasta was overcooked, but we ate every last bite. Just like those burnt eggs that first morning. They tasted terrible, but we finished all of it. Nothing was left. Before we went to sleep, she said suddenly, Leo, let's go public. I was confused. Aren't we already? I mean, she said, looking at me. Let's tell the whole story. From the beginning. The contract and everything. Yes. I frowned. Why? Because I want everyone to know, she said, that something fake can become something real. I looked at her earnest face and smiled. Whatever you want, I said. After all, I'm all yours now. You were tricked into it, she said. Willingly, I replied. She turned off the light and snuggled into my arms in the darkness. I heard her voice. Leo, I love you, she said. I know. What about you? I asked. I love you more, she whispered. She gave a contented sigh and fell asleep. I watched her sleep in the faint moonlight. I thought back to the very first time I saw her. She was sitting in a conference room, her expression cool and distant. As long as the payment's clear, she'd said. Thinking about it now, maybe I was a goner from that very first moment. I just didn't know it yet. The important thing is, in the end, we both knew that real is better than fake. That love is more important than money, and that she is more important than anything. That's enough. And